On today's episode, we talk virtual toughest mudder with the president of Tough Mudder, Kyle McLaughlin. This is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome to the world's toughest podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's world's toughest mudder. Each week, we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome back, world's toughest podcast. How have you been? Thank you for listening to the number one rated obstacle course racing podcast in the world. World's toughest podcast. And we're back. How has your quarantine been? Good to hear. I am ready to get back to real life. As I'm recording this, it's the beginning of June, second week of June. Stuff is starting to reopen across the United States. And, you know, it could have been worse, right? It could have been worse. Today we're going to talk with Kyle McLaughlin, the president of Tough Mudder. Tough Mudder's been going through some stuff lately. We've talked about that a little bit with him. But like the rest of us, life's getting back on track, right? A lot of due to the COVID stuff, a lot of Tough Mudder races or events have been canceled or rescheduled for next year. And one of the big ones of those that's been rescheduled is Toughest Mudder Chicago and Toughest Mudder UK. Those were originally scheduled for August 22nd of this year, 2020. And in their place, there will be the first ever virtual Toughest Mudder. That's what Kyle and I spend the bulk of our conversation talking about. Virtual Toughest Mudder, August 22nd. Taking place starts at 8 p.m. UK time and 8 p.m. in the US Central Time. So, you know, one thing we didn't talk about, like if you're in Germany or you're in Australia, which one should you do? And I guess it's probably up to you. But anyway, before we talk with Kyle, let's talk some news. As far as the OCR industry right now and news, like new news, there is a Spartan race this weekend in Jacksonville. And that's kind of it. A lot of races have been canceled. Spartan is doing their best to start bringing stuff back. Tough Mudder, who is owned by Spartan now. There's a lot to get caught up on there, right? If you're not following along. Short story is Tough Mudder was bought by Spartan. Kyle McLaughlin, the current and former CEO, not the original CEO who is out of the picture now. Kyle McLaughlin still runs Tough Mudder with his team as part of Spartan Race. And he told me they've been not left alone, but they're running their show. They're doing their thing. So that's the short version. We can talk about the long version another time. So news, you know, I've been kind of locked in my house with my wife and kids. What's news with you? Actually, you know what? I don't know if I talked about this on the show. The first week of March, right before the world locked themselves up, I ran my first 50 miler. So that was pretty exciting. I signed up for it. It was a 24-hour race. Did we talk about this? I feel like we talked about it. If we have, skip ahead. It won't hurt my feelings. 24-hour race on a looped course. It was a 2-mile looped course. Very similar to World's Toughest Mudder, except no obstacles and a much smaller loop. And it's a 2-mile loop. So you're seeing the same stuff a lot more often. It took me 6 hours to do the first 25 miles. It took me 13 hours to do the last 25 miles. I basically limped in the last 10 miles or so. When I was getting near the end, I was at 46 miles across the finish line, middle of the night. And I asked the lady working the computer, this is like a mom and pop show. There's like, this whole race the whole race field might have been 75 people, 50 to 75 people. Anyway, I asked the lady working the table, I was like, do you get anything special for finishing 50 miles? Because I could tell there are a lot of people dropping out and people, you know, just like at World's Toughest, you know, middle of the night, it's a lot less people out there. She's like, nope. And then she said, you know what? Hang on. Where are you at? What are you at right now? It's at 46 miles. She said, when you finish 50 miles, you can have a breakfast burrito. And at first I was like, that's a terrible prize for running 50 miles. But then I go back out for another lap and I'm thinking about it. And I was like, you know what? Breakfast burrito sounds pretty good. And I finished my 48 miles and I'm looking forward now my whole last lap, my 50th mile lap, 50 miles. I'm looking forward to this breakfast burrito. I'm like, all right, you know what? 50-mile breakfast burrito. You know what? I can get with that. All right. So I'm all excited and I hobble through the finishing arch, 50 miles. And lady's there looking at the computer. She's like, congratulations, head over to the food tent. They had a orphan tent for everybody. So I go over to the food tent. I'm like, I'm here to get my 50-mile breakfast burrito. She's like, oh, we just gave away the last one. Clearly they weren't 50-mile breakfast burritos. They were just breakfast burritos. Someone else took mine. Very disappointing. Anyway, so I finally got 50 miles. It wasn't world's toughest. There was no brown bib. There were no obstacles, but it was nice to have that number under my belt. All right, that's enough about me. Let's read some iTunes reviews.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars.
It's Rhea Coble, 2-time World's Toughest Mudder champion. No new reviews today, guys. What's going on? I'll tell you what, it's been 3 months since a new episode, so cut you some slack. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you should. You can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Open the purple podcast button, search for World's Toughest Podcast, click our logo, and scroll down to click Write a Review. And I will read it on a future episode. All the cool kids do it. Leave us a review. It's time to talk with Kyle McLaughlin, CEO of Tough Mudder. Let's go to the phones. Kyle McLaughlin, welcome back to the show.
Will Hicks, always a pleasure. If there's a way to live the quarantine life, I think I've been living the life. I'm running more than I ever have. I got a new Garmin yesterday, which I'm pretty excited about. I finally destroyed my old running watch, so it's been quarantine's been okay. We're doing a lot of work, got a lot of exciting plans for the future. Launched Virtual Toughest today. Have a bunch of new things rolling out in the next couple of weeks, so it's a good time to be a Tough Mudder.
I want to ask you about Virtual Toughest, but first, how has the transition from Tough Mudder Inc. to part of Spartan Inc. gone for you personally and for the company?
Well, I'll tell you, if you didn't know, that we were all part of one, you would assume that things were, kind of largely the same. We are running very independently. We've got the support of the broader Spartan group and all the resources that they've got. And Joe and I get a chance to talk every day and make sure that we're coordinated on things. But, we're very much focused on keeping Tough Mudder the same independent Tough Mudder brand that it's been for some time. So far, so good.
Are you guys working together on scheduling for 2021 and beyond, like kind of streamlining or not deconflicting the schedule, I guess?
We definitely are. That's actually been one of the places, both on the domestic side and internationally with all of our international partnered events. The place where we have actually moved to coordinate and integrate the fastest. The calendar coordination is probably one of the most complicated things that we do, even when we're just trying to coordinate Tough Mudder's calendar. Not just is it about trying to pick the right venues and the right markets at the right time of year when the weather's going to be good and you're not conflicting with football or graduations or, holidays or tourism or any of the other things that may draw people into or out of the area. But it's also trying to make sure that then works with the teams you have and how their travel schedules look and how your trucks have to move around and how your construction crews have to work. So it is a massive Tetris puzzle that is a challenge just for us to build our own calendar every year. And then, to have us work with Spartan on trying to make sure that we're not overlapping on top of each other, particularly when we've been competing with each other, for such a long time that we were in a number of the same markets and close to the same time. Teams have done a really great job. So no promises that we've gotten it perfect. There's just way too much complexity to it. There'll be a couple places where we're close to each other. We may get a Spartan one weekend and a Tough Mudder a few weeks later or vice versa. But I'm pretty sure at this point that we're going to have a calendar for next year that doesn't have any Spartans and Tough Mudders in the same area overlapping each other on the same weekend.
So talking about this year, we've lost a few venues already to coronavirus and to COVID precautions, and but there is a virtual Toughest Mudder, the first ever, coming up in August. Tell me about the virtual Toughest Mudder.
Yeah, so we were scheduled originally to have 3 Toughest Mudders this year in the U.S., 1 in the UK. When COVID hit, first of all, when the bankruptcy hit, we went down to 1 Toughest Mudder, was just supposed to be Chicago this year in the U.S. And then when COVID hit and we rescheduled the UK event, it actually ended up inadvertently moving back to the same weekend. So August 22nd, 23rd was going to be this great kind of simultaneous global toughest, people in the UK, people in the U.S. doing both overnight simultaneously. Some overlap there. We had some fun things planned about trying to link those 2 events together, maybe with a live video chat or something so that people could have seen each other in both countries. But unfortunately, COVID continues, and hosting Toughest was not going to be practical this year based on current policies in Chicago and in the UK. So we've opted to move those events into 2021. But we wanted to make sure that we could deliver that Toughest community experience and make sure that people who were set to earn their Holy Grail this year didn't miss out on the opportunity. So we're going to be doing everything to replicate the typical 12-hour Toughest Mudder experience virtually on the same weekend at the same time, encouraging people where it's safe and appropriate to do so, to get a group together, create a pit in your house, get crew to support you, and the signature Tough Mudder, kind of chaos and shenanigans is certainly coming your way. So we've been concocting and dreaming up some evil challenges and at-home things to do in between your 5-mile overnight laps in your neighborhood. And it's set up as kind of a choose-your-own-adventure. So for anybody who had a Toughest ticket for 2020, they get to get the base registration for free, and then you can add on the bib if you want to have the bib, and then the recognition, an awards package, which will have not only the Toughest headband and medal, but also the special 10th anniversary headband, which may become quite the limited edition thing to get this year, and your mileage patch for it. And then I think we're also offering the shirt in the UK, which we already had on hand. And then in the US here, through the merchandise team, we'll have a traditional Toughest shirt with the names on the back available for sale online in the next couple of days.
So it's the same date as Toughest UK and Toughest Chicago were going to be. If you are already signed up for either one of those races or any Toughest this year, you get your registrations for free. And you can add on, what are the costs of those add-ons? You said there's a bib, there's a headband.
Yeah, so we kept it really reasonable. The goal here was just to try to deliver value for our community and not necessarily something that we're trying to make a ton of money off of. So if you want the bib, it's $10, inclusive of shipping. And the recognition kit with both headbands, the medal, and the patch is $20. And that includes shipping as well in the 48 United States, or in the UK. Anybody who's in Canada or outside the U.S., we'll work with on shipping for that, but trying to keep it pretty reasonable. And for those who didn't have a 2020 Toughest ticket, the base registration just to participate in the event is only $10. So again, pretty reasonable. And based on what we've seen, registration's only been open for a few hours, and we're already close to about 200 people signed up. So the demand is there.
So people can sign up right now. Where can they sign up at?
So right now, we've only sent the link out to people who have the existing Toughest tickets. We'll have it live up on toughmudder.com. You'll be able to find it shortly by the end of the week. And then anybody who's run Toughest or World Tougher with us in the past will get another email kind of with an invitation to join us. So we're all rolling out today and tomorrow, and we'll be fully up and live by next week.
So with this being really the only Toughest Mudder of the year, will this count toward the Holy Grail? Is there a Holy Grail this year?
We're going to deliver as much of the Holy Grail as we can. So what we can do live, we'll do live. What we can do virtually, we'll do virtually. But we will deliver, for those that want to earn the Holy Grail this year, you'll be able to earn the Holy Grail this year. Maybe a combo. We'll see how things continue to progress with COVID. But, we'll have to roll out a virtual tougher, and, my fingers are crossed that we're going to be able to get some form of World's Toughest Mudder to happen. We'll see what that looks like as we get a little bit closer to it. We're talking to the guys down in Texas on a regular basis. And if you're watching the news, you're seeing that they're pushing to reopen, but there are still some hurdles to overcome down there. So we're hopeful to get. It may just be you and me and Matthew Davis camping in the middle of a field, running around in circles, but we'll figure it out.
That'd be quite the camping trip, the three of us.
I'm looking forward. I still owe you a dinner from last year, I think.
You know what? I won an auction. You're right. I know where we're going, too. We're going to Joe T. Garcia's in Fort Worth. I've been trying to go there for like 5 years. And
I'm in.
That'd be fun.
I'm in.
Okay, so you say
I haven't forgotten. So.
Oh, no pressure. So you say some form of toughest, like ideally a live world's toughest mudder in Dallas. That's the goal. That's what we're still moving towards.
That's what we're progressing against. We know that a lot of people have got to make travel plans and considerations. We've heard from a lot of customers who are writing to say, hey, I just can't make it this year. It's not going to work for me financially or training-wise. And we have opened up transfers to next year. If people do want to defer their ticket proactively to 2021, you got to write into us to do it right now because we don't have the 2021 event live yet. So you can't do it yourself online. But for those that want to come, if we're able to do it safely and we're able to host it, we'd love to get a community together and be able to do something. So we're working ahead on plans. We're hoping that we're able to kind of get a better sense of what that looks like as we get into July here and be able to get this community together as many times as we can this year.
I've always said that the second best thing about Tough Mudder is the community. The first best thing is the sweet bibs. So I'm glad that's part of the option.
Oh, and fun fact, Will, so the sweet bibs for toughest, for virtual toughest, are sitting here in my house. I am personally mailing them all out for people who get the bib online to do the virtual toughest. So I'm you might find a little handwritten note tucked in there somewhere.
You are licking the envelopes yourself.
Licking the envelope. You might find hot sauce in there. You might find a rubber duck. We got a bunch of things left over, so you never really know.
There's going to be some questions. Some questions you're going to get right off the bat. Does virtual toughest count for my Legionnaire status? My headband count?
I'm pretty sure Jessica Johnson has a flow chart for that, but the answer is no. So you will get a toughest headband for it. It does not count in your official numbers of event participation. But look, as we get into, we're rolling out a new product called Tough Mudder Challenges in the next couple of weeks, which you and I should get back on and talk more about next week. We got a lot of fun stuff to discuss there. And there's going to be way more ways to engage with Tough Mudder than just running events as we go into the future. So, part of what we're thinking about in the long run is how do we recognize people who've done things outside of just running classics or running toughers and toughest in the world. So there may be opportunities to earn more rewards and more recognition and credit coming down the road. But I guess we'll have to see.
I saw in the announcement that there's going to be a shopping list for Toughest Mudder, virtual Toughest Mudder.
There will be a shopping list. It will largely be things that you can find in your home if you don't live like a complete sociopath with nothing in your house. But we will we'll share that out to people who've registered for the event once we get closer to the beginning. So, in typical Kyle World's Toughest format, don't expect all the details up front. We like to drip feed things in a little bit. There may be some puzzle pieces. There may be some games involved to try and scheme this out. So, just be patient and wait and see. It'll be a little bit of a leap of faith as to whether you're ready to commit to this right now or not. But for $10, you don't want to miss out.
The race starts at 8 p.m. August 22nd. That's 8 p.m. in Central Time in the U.S. and then also 8 p.m. local time in the U.K. So the U.K. gets about a 5-hour head start on the rest of us. What's that going to look like? What it's going to look like, I'm sure, is that a bunch of people are going to be confused about the timing. So we're going to have to send out quite a few emails to make sure people understand British time and Central Time here. But wanted to keep it as authentic to the original experience as possible. UK participants will go ahead. They'll be working on their own leaderboard, in the UK. So they'll be, going on their track starting at 8 p.m. British time, 8 p.m. Central Time here in the US. We're going to try to figure out a way that we can get, both communities to interact a little bit. So more to come on that. And, certainly, good heckling from across the pond to happen in advance of the race day and on the day itself. It's got to be 5-mile loops like a regular toughest or a world's toughest. How do you track that? What does that look like during the race? How do you monitor that, I guess?
Yeah, 5 Mile Loop's very similar to what you're seeing in some of the other virtual event products right now. You can use whatever wearable you want or your phone. We'll take Strava links, and we'll be running a leaderboard there that will track through Strava, and ideally in this leaderboard we'll also be able to recognize the completion of the various challenges that we'll have for you to do in between each of your 5 mile laps.
Is there any prizing for the winners?
Will, Tough Mudder's not about prizes or about personal accomplishment and finishing it. So, the prize will be the glory of knowing that you've run around your neighborhood further than anybody else has run around their neighborhood. But we'll certainly recognize age group winners, but no prizes. I
live on top of a hill, right? So I can either run up and down my hill to get my 5 miles, or I can run around the top of the hill, like past. So for me to do 5 miles by my house, I'm going to run by the same neighbors like 3 times per lap, I think. So they're going to start wondering what's going on. You need to recruit those neighbors to be your pit crew or to join you in the process. Yeah, I don't. They might just think that's weird. Yeah, we did a small live event last weekend for people who had done the T-30 workout challenge with OpenFit with us for the past month, and we did some great stuff. People building at-home Arctic enemas, at-home Berlin walls. We did some dizzy bats. I mean, it was great fun. Dizzy bats, I've only seen that at one course. It was at Toughest Mudder Vegas, and I think that may be my least favorite penalty I've taken at a Tough Mudder. Oh, I mean, we had some pretty gruesome penalties at Worlds this year as well. Coming up or last year? A lot of people would have opted for dizzy bats over digging in the hay for the little army characters after a while. Let's talk about, we talked about it a little bit already, but World's Toughest 2020, we're planning on it. Texas is one of the few states that's kind of, or not the few, but that's kind of on the front of the opening up. Like, how do you feel about it? Do you feel odds of it happening in person? I feel like a 90%, 75%? Where are you at right there? I mean, realistically, Will, it's, we're going to take it, we're going to make sure it's safe, first and foremost. And that's not only for participants and where things land in October, but we got to get our team out there to plan. We got to travel. So the safety consideration, as our mutual friend Matt Davis likes to say, safety is our number one priority. But in all honesty, we're not gonna push the envelope on that. If we can do it safely, then we got to look at what we can do. There's some major economic considerations around it too, to be completely honest with you. World's Toughest is an expensive event to do, and depending on where registration sits, we got to do an event that's within our budget, within our means. But that doesn't mean we can't deliver a good experience and good quality on it. So, for us right now, it's working with the government in Texas to see what's feasible and see where they're going to be on it, and then obviously having to monitor things and see how the situation continues to progress. But until we can't, we will continue to push forward and pursue and hope to get a version, and it may be the craziest version of World's Toughest Mudder the community's ever seen, but to get a version of Worlds across the line this year. Is this the 10th World's Toughest Mudder? Or the 11th? 2011 was the first, right? Yeah, so this would be number 10, because there was no Worlds in 2010. Right. So 2011 Englishtown was the first. And this is number 10. This is 10, yeah. I tell people always are like, oh, I'm not going to be ready for this year, but I want to sign up for next year. And I told myself that like 3 years in a row. And you just got to go. You just got to sign up. We're talking in June right now. Sign up and then get ready. Like it's especially like this year. This is going to be the one. Get like the sandstorm in 2014, or like the cold in Atlanta 2 years ago. This is going to be one of the ones that people talk about for years to come. So yeah, I'm hoping it happens, and I'm looking forward to being there. Yeah, if we get it across the line this year, this will not be one that you want to miss. This World's Toughest Mudder will be the one thing that legends are made of this year. Let's talk a little about 2021. There's a lot more information for the next year. It seems like it's out earlier than it has been before. I'd imagine that's just because of everything going on in the world right now. Well, I mean, we were always on the track of getting the schedule out earlier. That was part of the plan, and when we were doing it last year. So luckily, we had already gotten a lot of the groundwork laid on that. But 2021, if I'm to think of that reference here, it's like make Tough Mudder great again. We're back to our full scale calendar for next year. We're currently looking at about 20, 21 events in North America, back to a lot of the same favorite venues
that we've been at historically for the last couple of years. We're back to almost every region that we were in, even if we're at slightly different venues. So kicking off in March, will be the first event in March, and going straight through to World in October, November next year.
So for races this year still on the schedule, there are a handful. I know you have Tri-State, Seattle, Dallas, World's Toughest in Dallas, and SoCal still on the schedule. Is that pretty fair for the rest of the year in the U.S.?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at in the rest of the U.S. this year. And we're committed, to customers several weeks back that we'll keep people updated. And if we have to make a determination on having to pull an event because of local restrictions or other pieces, that we'll do that at about the 60-day out mark. So we're heavily working on Tri-State, Seattle, Dallas right now, looking at local restrictions and where the government's going to land, how the situation's going on the ground, and we'll be updating people on those events in the next couple of weeks here. But people are keen to get out there. I think everybody wants something to look forward to right now, something to set your sights on, something to train for. More people are running than they ever have been before, myself included. I've run in my neighborhood all the time and see more people out here in the last couple of months than I ever saw out here last year, when pre-quarantine, pre-COVID. So we're excited for a bunch of people to bounce back, into running, into obstacle course racing, once quarantine's lifted and we can do big events safely again.
What does the schedule look like for the rest of the year in the UK?
Also, still 4 events on the calendar in the UK. Scotland, which was rescheduled from June to October. We've got the UK Northwest event, our big London event in September, and then the London City Series event in October as well. So those 4 events remaining on in the UK. Very similar situation, still kind of tracking where government policy and other things are going there, and whether we think we'll be able to get those events done, and looking to update customers as soon as we've got news one way or the other. But still plugging forward and until we're not, but trying to get as much as we can, moving as fast as we can here as things start to get slowly back to normal.
What about some of the other countries like Germany or Ireland? What's Tough Mudder International look like these days?
Yeah, so unfortunately, a lot of other countries, Germany had banned all large events through October, which impacted not just us, but Oktoberfest and the Berlin Marathon, a lot of other large events. So unfortunately, no Tough Mudder Germany events this year. Ireland's in a very similar situation, and Australia is heading that direction as well. So, we may get a couple of Tough Mudder events across in the Middle East this year. They've been relatively lightly impacted. We're still tracking for an event in the UAE in December, which is when they traditionally are, just because of how the weather there pans out. But there may be pretty few international Tough Mudder events just based on how COVID's going in other countries. But we're still, again, a big opportunity for us. Collaborating together with the Spartan Group, we're certainly continuing to grow our international reach, and even during COVID here, are talking to a number of new countries and new partners about growing Tough Mudder, especially in Southeast Asia and Middle East and Europe as well.
So when this is all over, all the COVID stuff, all the restrictions, we're back to normal. What does 2021 look like? How many Toughest Mudders? Is World's Toughest Mudder back in Dallas? Tell me about, next year, like kind of a full Spartan / Tough Mudder, the full package. Everything's hitting on all cylinders. What does that look like?
Well, I'm probably not qualified to speak for what Spartan 2021 looks like, but Tough Mudder 2021, 3 toughest in the U.S. We've already opened up Philly and Chicago for next year. There will be a Southern California area toughest, likely forthcoming here in the next couple of weeks. That'll be open up for sale. So for people who had LA, Philly, or Chicago tickets for this year that got punted to next year, you will not have to travel if you don't want to. You have to be able to go to a toughest in the area that you'd originally purchased a ticket for. World's Toughest Mudder, nice try on getting that out of me early. You'll have to wait and find out on that one. But I can tell you that it will be in the U.S. now in 2021. Where in the U.S. now? Somewhere between Florida, Seattle, or Hawaii. And one of the states in between there. So I guess we'll see where that pans out. And across the board, in addition to 21 regular Tough Mudder weekends, we've got a bunch of new things in the hopper that you'll hear about in the next couple of weeks. exciting things on training, on partnerships, on nutrition. We're launching a new product called Tough Mudder Challenges, which we've been teasing for the last couple of days, and we'll talk more wholesomely about next week. But that's a product that'll live kind of completely separate from the events, but something that you can do throughout the year. You can earn some cool swag. We'll be introducing a new type of swag outside of headbands that I think people are going to want to add to their Tough Mudder collections. And overall, we're excited about the growth that we're seeing in the direction that we're going here. Exciting things happening in merchandise. We're launching a collaboration and partnership with Gooder. So if you're up for some Tough Mudder sunglasses, we'll have those up in the next couple of weeks, and a custom branded one later this summer. So lots of exciting things going on over here.
I saw a new piece of merchandise you guys have is the Tough Mudder face mask.
Well, if we're going to be wearing them for a while, we might as well wear them in style, right? So we had some challenges there, as I think a lot of people did, in trying to get some manufacturing done and get those in time. But we finally got all the ones that were pre-ordered shipped out. So I got mine last week. So sporting my Tougher Together face mask at the grocery store. But a lot of places, especially up here in the Northeast where I am, and I imagine where you are in California as well, face masks are very much the norm, and the expectation is that you got them on pretty much every time you leave your house. So I'm pretty keen to support my Tough Mudder one.
Yeah. Kyle, is there anything else you want to plug or anything else you want to tell the community?
Keep your eyes open. We got a lot of exciting stuff coming. We've been trying to do a lot more content, a lot more things that are value add. We know at this point that not a ton of people are rushing to buy tickets for live events, but the emails that you're getting from Tough Mudder has got some good stuff in it. So if you're not typically one who opens the Tough Mudder emails, make sure you peek in and check on those every once in a while. And just launched a new thing yesterday as well with a company called Wild Alaskan Seafood. So if you're anybody who's into meal subscription boxes or kind of food home delivery, these guys do kind of fresh catch salmon and whitefish. You can have delivered to your house monthly or bi-monthly. Special pricing for Tough Mudder Legionnaires, but we've also are delivering a whole bunch of nutrition program and content around it. So if you want to change or pivot your diet to be more fish-based, healthier protein for you, that rolled out. The email went out on that yesterday. You can find that on toughmudder.com as well. But lots of fun kind of partnerships and opportunities coming around nutrition, around at-home fitness, around training, around mental health. So, in addition to planning a big event calendar and launching some new digital and virtual products, we've got quite a bit happening on the partnership and challenges front as well.
Virtual Toughest Mudder is August 22nd. More information at toughmudder.com. Kyle McLaughlin, thanks much.
Thanks, Bill.
Special thanks to Kyle McLaughlin for joining the show. Welcome back anytime, Kyle. Sign up for Toughest Mudder, the virtual Toughest Mudder, August 22nd at toughmudder.com. Be sure to go to the OCRreport.com. Follow other shows, other podcasts. Check out our YouTube channel. Check out our Instagram at the OCR Report. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And we'll talk with you soon. Hey, don't be a stranger. Don't stay away for 3 months next time, all right? Come on, guys. Talk with you soon. Go spend time with someone you love.